du alter Schwede. I have to say it with this tone because this is the way that I've only ever heard it in Germany. Hello and welcome back to my channel, Life in Germany, where I share all of my tips and tricks to moving to Germany and some of the cultural differences that I've experienced as a Canadian living here in Germany. I had a lot of fun reaching out to you guys, the community over on YouTube, when I asked you guys about what words would make us as foreigners sound super typisch Deutsch. What could we learn to shock everybody else when we're trying to speak German and then we just pull out some word and they're like, wie bitte? If you've watched any of my videos before, you guys already know that I have a thing for like Redewendungen or idioms, as we say in English. You know, this slang and these sayings that just make you sound so much more like a local than perhaps you actually are. I love them so much that you'll also find I created a merchandise shop down below and actually translated some of my favorite German idioms into English so that they make absolutely no sense and put them into stickers. There's some t-shirts and mugs there too. But today we're not talking about these Redewendungen or idioms. We are actually talking about like different sayings or words that you might throw in mid-sentence here in Germany for people to be like, he or she has been here quite a while. So I put together a 12-step checklist. You guys have probably seen this before if you've watched any of my other videos. That goes through the whole process of getting started here in Germany, what you need, how to save money. There are also a ton of language tips in this book on where I would recommend to check out and to get started when moving here to Germany. But let's talk about some like typical Deutsch dialect that will get you set up on the right foot to really wow and impress your German friends or your neighbors or your German teacher, whatever. So one of you said, da kann man wirklich nicht meckern. This basically means, yeah, you really can't complain, you know, like things are going well. Ich kann nicht meckern. Da kann man wirklich nicht meckern. More than a few of you actually said, hatte Fahrradkette. Now, I've actually never used this one, but I do hear it quite often from a lot of Germans, which basically means like you could have, you should have, but you didn't. You know, you can't go back on your decision now. Es tut mir leid. Rather than saying hatte Fahrradkette, I like using another one that you guys mentioned, which is schade Schokolade. Too bad, so sad, basically. Something bad happens or something unfortunate. Of course, not something serious. If a kid drops his ice cream, you just like, oh, schade Schokolade. Me, I was inspired by one of my German friends years ago who always said schade Marmelade, and I always thought that one was so much cuter. So I always use schade Marmelade, which makes the Germans laugh because I think not a lot of people actually say Marmelade. Schade Schokolade is the typical one. So number 4 is the good and classic alles gut. I know this sounds so simple. You're like, well, Jenna, that's not even like a German saying. That's just like alles gut, which means everything's good. However, if you think about the English language and someone's like, hey, is everything okay? You wouldn't be like, yeah, everything's good. I don't know. It's just like, hey, what's up? Nothing. You? Nothing. Or how's your day? Yeah, it's going well. How's yours? You know, it's different conversation. And the Germans use alles gut like in every possible way that they can. It's probably like one of the #1 used terms within a sentence. Alles gut? Ja, alles gut, danke. It is typisch Deutsch. One of my favorites that you guys mentioned was Feierabend. We really don't have like a word for this in English. Feierabend means it's the end of the day, you know, you finished your work and you get to go home, have a drink, relax, whatever. And I would say Germans use this term quite often. They'll just be like, so, Feierabend, jetzt sind wir fertig, jetzt können wir nach Hause gehen, jetzt kann ich ein Bier trinken. Endlich. And the last one I want to mention that you guys added to the list was ja. And I thought, you know what? You're totally right. In English, we would not respond to a question, yeah. You know, like obviously we would spell it Y-A-Y-A and not J-A-J-A, but still we wouldn't respond to it like that. And many Germans that I know as well, you know, in a conversation, you guys might not even notice it if you're German yourself, but a lot of the time it's like, yeah, always using this, yeah. I understand, I guess is what you're trying to explain. And just a little pause here, I would like to thank today's amazing language sponsor, and that is DuoCards. If you haven't heard of DuoCards before, before. They are a Czech-based language learning mobile app that allows you to easily learn a language with the help of mobile flashcards. Whether you're a person that enjoys intensive learning or you would much rather prefer a 10 to 15 minute short lesson, the fact of the matter is that we all as human beings learn much better through repetition. Does anybody remember creating flashcards back in high school for your exams? You would keep going until that stack becomes no stack at all, and then you know you've mastered studying for that exam. DuoCards actually uses a similar approach using these mobile flashcards to learn a language. This method is based on spaced repetition, and you can actually save words on the DuoCards app by watching some of their videos, going through some of their articles, or some of their vocabulary decks. You can also add words from other apps. You can add your own words. You can also add words via a Chrome extension. And if there are any teachers watching this video, this is also actually a great app to use teaching. You can actually go through and create your own lesson plans, your own DuoCards for your students to be able to learn. So if you want to join me over on DuoCards, you'll find that link in the description below. One thing that I've gotten to learn by posting these videos on YouTube is that Germany is one country, but the states within the country are so different. You know, it's not like Canada where I feel like we're all very similar, except for the fact that I don't say a boot instead of about, you know. But these are the words, and these are also my favorite words that make me sound more like a local or more like a German when I have conversations. So I'm gonna mention this one, and don't take it offensively. Like, I'm not creating this video to teach you guys bad words or like bad things to say, but this is actually something that I hear a lot from people in Germany, and it's not the nicest phrase, but it's just common in the German language. I'm sorry. And that is, bist du bescheuert oder was? I have to say it with this tone because this is the way that I've only ever heard it in Germany. Meaning, are you stupid? Are you dumb? Like, what's going on in that brain of yours? And it's something really rude to say. Like in English, if somebody cut me off or something or did something rude to me, I would never in a million years be like, are you stupid? Are you dumb or what? I'm so offended when people say that to me, and it has happened, you know. I feel like I'm a generally nice person. I obey the rules here, but every once in a while you'll get a grumpy German looking at you being like, bist du bescheuert oder was? Huh? So it's good for you to know. I wouldn't say to use it, but just so you know, just in case it happens to you, you can know what they're saying, and they probably don't mean it as harshly as I take it. Just a little forewarning. Another classic German word, and one of the best words ever that we also don't have in the English language, is doch. Doch is really hard to explain. Like, let me try to think of an example for you. I would be like, no, you're not going to another party again, are you? And they'd be like, duh. Like, yeah, I am. I don't know. This is a really tough one. And actually, I've heard other people mention it before and also struggle with trying to give a good explanation of what doch actually means. Because we don't have it in the English language, it's so hard to define. But you could say something, you know, and someone would be like, no, like that's not true, you know? And you'd be like, doch. Yeah, das stimmt, wirklich. So, I don't know. It's something you need to practice a little bit, but once you actually have it in your vocabulary, you're gonna use it all the time, and then eventually you're gonna be like, I have no idea what other word I could use here other than doch. Sometimes when I'm speaking English, I find myself like adding doch in the sentence, or maybe oder, because in Canada we say a lot. Like when you're talking to someone and like you want to end it with a question mark, you'd be like, yeah, it's super hot out today, a. And that a means I want you to say yes or no, ja oder nein. Oder wasn't in my list, but one that was in my list and is also similar is ne. This is one I use way too often. Sometimes I feel like I take it entirely out of context and don't even use it in the right way just because I love it so much and it just kind of like rolls off the tongue for me. Ne is what I replace a with, and I guess as Canadians we use a lot more than we might realize, and so when I was looking for a word to replace it with, it just kind of naturally came out as ne instead of oder. And what about sowieso? Now sowieso you can translate into English, it's like anyhow or anyway, like he would have done that anyway had you have not asked him. trotzdem. But I personally find that Germans actually use this anyway, anyhow, sowieso a lot more often than we would typically use it in the English language. I also think it's a really unique word that not a lot of foreigners use when they're speaking German, and I think that you should. It's a really cool word to be like, ich würde das sowieso machen. Next up is, ach du alter Schwede. You would probably not say this to somebody directly, but about a situation that maybe shocked you or surprised you. For example, someone could be like, oh, you know, it's already 7 o'clock, right? You're gonna be late. And then you'd look at your watch and be like, ach du alter Schwede, nee, ich muss gehen. There's some history behind this du alter Schwede that dates back to the war, and it's basically a term of respect. Alter Schwede was a good thing to call somebody back then. It was based on the Swedish soldiers who received this respectful title so that when you use it to somebody else, then you would be saying they're a real man, you know, that alter Schwede. But again, you don't say it to someone, you would just say it about a situation, or if something surprised you, just be like, ach du alter Schwede. Another beloved one of mine is ach so, which basically means, ah, okay, I understand. And I use ach so always, as often as I possibly can. I just really like it. It's just super German. Here are two more that kind of go hand in hand is tja. Tja is kind of, I don't know, like maybe used in more of a negative way, where you would say like, tja, like dann ist es halt so, like it is what it is kind of thing. So you just be like, tja, so ist das Leben, ne? Similarly, I also really like this one. I didn't hear it at the beginning so often. Maybe it's becoming more popular now, but a lot of people I know will be like, jein, which will be like a mix between ja and nein. So yes and no, like, which basically means they can't agree or disagree. They just want to give like some middle answer of jein. And the last one here, another one that I love to use all the time. It's not a word, it's kind of a sound, and that is boah. You could use this all the time, and you probably already know what it means even if you're not German, and that is just boah. Wow, I don't know, like we don't have a word for that in English at all. We don't really have like a noise. We would be like wow or ah, like I don't know. Boah is just super German, and everybody I know here in Germany makes it. It makes me giggle. I use it all the time. I absolutely love it. It just means boah, it's overwhelming. Wow. Boah, das war mega lang. Boah, bin ich müde. Boah, boah, boah. So there you go. Those are 15 pretty simple words or phrases that you can throw into your vocabulary and sound a little bit more like a real German. Again, don't forget, if you're German yourself or you speak German and have more ideas of what words are super typical German that would make more of us foreigners sound more like locals here in Germany, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you as per usual for subscribing, for watching this video. You guys are absolutely amazing. Vielen, vielen, vielen lieben Dank und wie immer, bis später.